Alright, so we are back and we're just trying to get set up here. So we've already got our total length on both the side and the ends of the box. So now we got to get the height correct. And according to the right height, these have to be 9 3/4 inches tall. So you know we're working with 11 and a half inch roughly piece of wood. We got to get this down to 9 3/4 inches is the ideal size for the height of an 8-frame box. So we're going to slide our table saw over here. We're going to measure off. First thing we're going to do, we want to make sure this thing is good and square. This is an old piece of wood that I found in the barn, so we want to make sure it's down to the right size. So first thing we're going to do, we just kind of want to rip off a little bit of both sides just to make sure it's good and flush, good and square. Got them good and square off the right end. Off this end is good and square. Now we got to get down to a 19 3/4 inch board. So we're just going to loosen up our fence here. And 9, but I may have said 19, but it's 9 3/4 inches. So we're going to put our saw just on the edge of that, where it says 9 3/4 right here. And then we're going to tighten the fence back down. And now we're going to put the good smooth side, which we just cut, against the fence. That way we know it's good and square over here. And then we're going to rip it at the 9 3/4, all of them the same size. Reset that. All of our sizes here down to 9 3/4 inches. So we're good to go there. Now, here's a good thing about buying. Go ahead and buy a 1x12, what they call a 1x12 instead of a 1x10, because you only need 9 3/4 inches. The good thing, you have these little pieces left over. And those are going to come in handy later on. And we'll show you how to get those, what we're going to do with those. And I think you'll find the way we do boxes here is going to be a little bit simpler. All right, so we got both our sides done here. It's 19 1/8 inches long, 9 3/4 inches tall. We got our end pieces, 13 7/8 inches long, 9 3/4 inches tall. So that's our ends and our sides. So now we got to get our little cleats in here for the frames to rest on, and for our box, our rabbit, for our boxes to fit up tight against here. So I'm going to reset the saw, and that's going to take me just a minute, but I'm going to tell you how I did that as we go. And what we're going to need to do here is get this down to 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to take our little measuring tape here and measure exactly 3/4 of an inch, and then we're going to clamp that into place. Now we got to get the depth of this blade cannot be any thicker than half of what this board is. So we want to take off exactly half. That's our goal there. In order to do that, we need to get the depth of this blade down. Since this is 3/4 of an inch wide, we need to get down to half of that. So one way you can do it, you can start by just kind of eye-sighting it and let the very tip, the tallest part of your blade, you want to get it down to about halfway of where your board's at. If you're not exactly sure what that is, that's where these little extra pieces are going to come in a little handy. This blade depth on this thing is cutting halfway right in the middle of this right here. So now we got to notch our boards accordingly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down both sides of the short side now, down both sides of the 13/7/8 side and across the top. So both sides and the top. This side's already painted because it's an old piece of wood. So here we go. We have it cutting 3/4 of an inch deep right here, 3/4 of an inch deep across the side, 3/4 of an inch deep right here. So now we got to go back and take off. You see that's only going halfway. We got to take that off. This side's got to come off, and that's going to be called our rabbet. And then this top part is going to be where our frames are going to rest. So that's our next adjustment to the blade here. You can do everything skill saw. You can do some of this with a skill saw. It's just going to take a little bit longer. So what we got to do is we got to get the depth cut deep enough that it's going to take out that little piece right there. So we're going to start raising our blade to the very point of it. The highest point of that tip is going to be right where that's going to take that off. Doesn't matter if you're a little bit higher, but you don't want to be less, because if you're less, then it's going to leave a tag on there and it's not going to take it off. So now what we got to do is we got to rip the board exactly half the distance. Now you can measure it, or you can just eyesight the blade to exactly half of where it's going to take off this little end right here. See, we're going to take that off. So we're measuring it, we're eyesighting it, we can measure it either way, and we're getting ready to rip that. We may have to make some adjustments. Let's start right there and see what we got. we ripped off half here. It's nice and smooth. Now, when you get down to small sizes of these, if you're not experienced with a table saw, please get you what we call like a push rod or push bar or something to keep from cutting your finger off. Something like a piece of scrap wood. Sometimes they'll come with a little push rod or something. But get you something so that you don't get your fingers in the way and cut off a finger trying to build a beehive box. So, all right, so now we're down over to our next piece. We got to do that. This piece is cut. Now, pretend that you did not see me reach inside there and grab that wood, because that's a no-no. You should not do that. Always keep the side that you're saving against the fence. Never put the side that you're saving this away, because it'll fall down in that crack or something, then you'll be all messed up and you'll have it all off. So now we've got our sides here cut here. This is cut here. Make us a little bit of room here. So we're working on the table. So let me show you what's going to happen here. So now we got our sides. This is going to go there just like that. That's going to go there just like that. And then this piece is going to go here just like this. So when you're through, look at that. You're going to have a nice square box. How well you can see that, but you can see how the ends match up here. You see what we did right here? Whenever we cut this 3/4 of an inch off right here, this board is 3/4 of an inch, it fits right in that slot. So now you don't have to do that, you can face nail it, but once you glue this right here with some glue and put some staples in there, it's not going anywhere. It is there to hang on. And then now, because we got this little rest right here, 3/4 of an inch right here, our frames, when we put those in, will drop right down in here to both sides. So we have a nice little 8-frame deep. So this is deep. I fool with mainly all deep because I like to keep it simple, one size for all. I don't like to have a lot of different size shallow frames and medium frames, and I just buy all deeps and then I just work with it from that. So now we got our nice square box, 13 and 7/8 wide, exactly right. 13 and 7/8 wide there, and we're looking at about 20 and 1/8 overall total dimension. Your frame should fit right down in there. And now we just got to put it together. So we'll take some glue and put down both sides here, and we'll take probably some 1.5 inch staples, maybe some 2-inch staples with an air gun, and we will staple that together, and that box will be finished. And you see how easy it was to make that box, y'all, and just that simple. And let me show you what we're going to do. I told you I'd show you what we do with these little extra pieces that we had left over. All right, so here we have our box here. Now you can spend all day with a dado blade taking this blade off, put your dado blade on there, and cut you some handles in the end here, and it'll look good. They'll be nice handles. But at the time you finish taking this blade off, getting it all set back up, getting it cut, getting it measured, getting it done, you're gonna spend another 30 minutes to an hour trying to do that. My way is going to be so much simpler, and it'll work just as well. It'll look just as good. So now that we've had those now that we had these scrap pieces, remember these little pieces we cut off the top? I told you these were going to come in handy later on. We're going to measure these things about 4 inches wide on here. Turn around. If you want to, 5 inches, 6 inches, doesn't really matter to me. So now we're going to take those right there, And we're going to put some glue on the back side of that. We're going to stick that there, shoot a couple of staples in here. So now you've got handles for your box. You can make them longer. You can make them take that whole piece if you wanted to and go completely down the side if that's what you want to do, where you'll have more room to hang on to. But that's what that extra little 1 inch is going to come in handy there for. You can put your handles on the side. You now can put some handles on the end, and you'll have little handles all the way around. So there you go. There's how simple it is to make an 8-frame box. All we got to do is glue it up and put it together and put some glue on the back of that, and you're done. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was simple enough. I try to make it simple. If it's not, just leave me a comment or something. Tell me what you think I done wrong. Hey, I can take criticism just like anybody else. But this is Guy with New Bee Bees. A beautiful day to be out here working in the bee yard. And thank you so much for joining me.